So the city of Richmond recently joined other cities, including Oakland, San Francisco, Santa Cruz. You're suing 29 oil companies. Why did you decide to do so, and what are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that the Richmond refinery is really a pretty good corporate neighbor in Richmond, certainly since the 2012 fire. You know, we get along well. They're involved in a lot of things in Richmond. So this is not about them. It's about the entire fossil fuel industry, and Chevron Corporation is really a tiny part of that, but a significant part. And I think everybody knows the story, but the story basically is that these industries concealed the fact that they knew the effect that fossil fuels would have on global warming for decades. They all were involved in efforts with lobbyists and other organizations. They spent millions and millions of dollars trying to convince people that climate change was a fraud and that it was not something we needed to worry about. And in fact, a lot of them are still doing that. And
how does it affect your city in terms of what you have to expend to cut down on some of the effects?
Well, as you just mentioned, Richmond has 32 miles of shoreline, more than any other city on San Francisco Bay. A lot of it's low-lying. We have two intercontinental railroad terminuses in Richmond. We have two wastewater treatment plants. We have thousands of acres of regional parks. We have neighborhoods, and we have a refinery, all of which are subject to inundation for sea level rise. So we're already in a process of planning for that. And you know, our city, along with other cities on water, are going to have to spend a lot on infrastructure in the future to adapt to climate change. It's going to be billions of dollars.
And you want the oil companies to reimburse that?
Well, we want them to be a part of the solution instead of a part of the problem.
And you know, Chevron, though, has said that local lawsuits like the one you're filing will do nothing to curb climate change, and it's a global problem that demands global engagement. How do you respond to that?
Well, they're absolutely right, but you got to start somewhere. You know, I mean, if everybody says it's not my problem, it's a global problem, nothing happens. And let me just throw this out. You know, one of the things that's happening, I was at the climate summit in Paris a couple of years ago, and one of the things they pointed out is that not only all of the pioneering efforts to deal with climate change, but what's going to happen in the future is that it's going to be on cities. It's all going to happen in cities, and mayors are going to be at the forefront.
Hilltop Mall has been floundering in recent years. JCPenney closed its doors last year. A new developer came in July. What's going to happen with that mall?
Well, it's a new owner, and they're in kind of a two-step process. The first part is they're going to put a lot of money into the existing infrastructure there to make it more attractive and to try to get it leased up to a higher level. And then the second part is they're going to do what's happening to malls all over the country. They're going to take all those acres of unused parking lots, and they're going to look at bringing in high-density housing and really create a whole community there.
Hoping for some revitalization?
Yeah, you know, they're talking, they could build up to 10,000 units there, and it would totally change the nature of it from being just a retail destination to being a mixed-use community. What
is your biggest priority right now as mayor? I mean, Richmond once was considered one of the nation's most dangerous cities. Over the years, violent crime has declined. But that image still sticks for many people. How big a challenge is that for you?
Well, there's good news and bad news. This year we had the second lowest homicide rate in decades, and our violent crime rate is down also, and that's great news. And it's part of a trend that's been going on now for a decade. Yeah. You know, the flip side of that is that we still have a lot of homicides in Richmond, and you ask what is my number one goal? My number one goal would be to have at least 1 year where we do not have a single homicide in Richmond, and then stay that way.
You've talked about rebranding Richmond. It's one of your biggest priorities as mayor. How affordable is Richmond, and what's the housing situation like?
Richmond is the least expensive place to buy or rent a home in the Bay Area, in the inner Bay Area.
What's the median home price?
The median home price is just under $440,000, and the median apartment rental is about $2,400 a month. Richmond, I mean, in San Francisco, you probably know it's about $3,800 a month. We just finished a marketing and branding study in Richmond, and one of the elements of it is pushing Richmond as an affordable place to live, which it is. It's a great place to commute to and from. I took Bart to the city today and walked up here in less than an hour.
All right, Mayor Tom Budd of Richmond, pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.